Prime Empire. You either love it, or you just don't care about it. Personally, I don't really care all too much about it. It happened. It's a fun, harmless season. It really says something that the most memorable aspect of the season are the visuals. This is arguably the season with the best animation, which is really saying something when you take a look at how good Dragon's Rising looks. The biggest issue with Prime Empire is that it has great ideas, but doesn't execute them very well. Like, even though the ninja are in a video game, the writers don't really take full advantage of that. In the first episode that they're in the game, it's established that the ninja have to regain all of those skills and upgrade their skill tree. But then that's completely dropped after that episode. As well, they only have 4 lives to work with while in the game, but instead of the ninja gradually losing them over the course of the season, slowly raising the stakes as the season progresses, they all lose most of their lives in just 2 separate scenes, one of which is only in the second episode that they're in the game. And then there's Unagami. In my opinion, Unagami is a great villain. I really love what they did with him in the final episode. The problem is that he's barely in the season. This season is 6 episodes long, and Unagami only physically appears in 3 of those episodes. That's not even a fourth of the season. And the thing is, in all 3 of those episodes, he's amazing. If the writers had given him more screen time, then I think that he could have been one of the show's best villains. But as it stands, he's just really underwhelming. And that's how I would describe the season. Great ideas, underwhelming execution. But this video isn't about what Prime Empire did wrong, it's about what it did right. And one thing that the season did really well was bringing back Harumi. Harumi is arguably one of, if not the show's greatest villains. She emotionally manipulated and traumatized Lloyd, and in her final episode, she died in the exact same way her parents did when she was a child. And Prime Empire took advantage of being set in a virtual world to bring Harumi back for one scene. And today, I'm going to compare the 12th episode of Prime Empire, Stop, Drop, and Side Scroll, to the other season that dared to bring back Harumi, Season 15, Crystalized. I'm not going to spend too much time on Crystalized since I'm sure you all know how that season completely ruined Harumi's character. So I'm pretty much just going to be talking about Prime Empire. At this point in the season, only Jay, Nia, and Lloyd are still in the game, and are all down to their last life. To obtain the final katana, which they need to get to Unagami to defeat him, one of them have to fight in an old school style battle arena against an NPC. Lloyd volunteers and the game somehow creates an almost perfect replica of Harumi. Lloyd is, of course, taken back by this, and while at first is able to fight her, Harumi then starts apologizing for everything she did, making Lloyd think that this might actually be her, which of course isn't true, and it's just his feelings getting the better of him. Lloyd asks her what their first date was, and when Harumi doesn't know, Lloyd is able to defeat her and win the final katana, but not before Harumi is also able to kill Lloyd. This is such a great scene. It definitely wasn't needed, but it's a very nice addition to an otherwise just okay season. The biggest difference between this episode and Crystalized is that the writers understand both Harumi's and Lloyd's characters. Harumi tries manipulating Lloyd, and he has very conflicting feelings on whether he should believe her or not. They both feel in character with how they are written in the Oni trilogy. Lloyd has always had very real feelings for Harumi, so it makes sense that he would have a bit of a hard time seeing that this version of her is just code. And I also really like how this scene ties into his arc throughout seasons 11 through 14. The Oni trilogy left Lloyd with some serious trust issues. He has a hard time trusting anyone outside the ninja, Wu, Masako, and some close friends like Skylar and Dareth. Though after meeting Akita on Neverrealm, he's able to get past a lot of these problems. But I think that him having to fight Harumi again in Prime Empire set him back a good amount, and that's why he's so untrusting of Princess Vanya in the next season. His arc then ends in the island with him giving the same lesson that he learned over the past 6 seasons to Twitchy Tim. Lloyd is honestly an extremely underrated part of the 11-minute era. Seasons 11, 12, and 13 handle the aftermath of the Oni trilogy really well, with him obviously still being affected by it, but also at least somewhat healing from it, and then passing what he learned on to someone else to help them get over their trauma.
Orgy, I get it. You've been knocked down, a lot. But that doesn't mean you have to stay down. You're stronger than that.
But then Crystalized came and ruined it by saying that Lloyd apparently didn't learn anything, and didn't grow at all, and that he's the exact same person that he was at the start of Season 8.
You tricked me once.
And you'd think you'd learn from it, but you haven't. Clearly.
Like, what happened? How did we go from getting 6 whole seasons, plus a 44-minute special in a row, of great Lloyd development, but then not even 2 seasons later, he's completely out of character, and it's like the past 7 seasons just never happened. Not to mention, not only is he extremely out of character, he's also just a bad character. Like, ignore how the season ruined his character, and just look at Season 15 Lloyd in complete isolation, and he's still just a bad character. I genuinely want to know what happened. How could so much go wrong? And of course, Lloyd's character in Crystalized is pretty heavily tied to Harumi's character, which ties back to the topic of this video, so I didn't just go on an off-topic rant. But yeah, the Harumi scene in Prime Empire works because it understood both Lloyd's and Harumi's characters. It understood that Harumi never truly loved Lloyd and was only ever manipulating him. And the reason why Crystalized Harumi doesn't work is because that season didn't understand both hers and Lloyd's characters, and didn't understand that Harumi never loved Lloyd and was just manipulating him. Which was like the entire point of her character. So again, what the heck went wrong? To end this video, I want to ask the question: should Harumi return in Crystalized? On one hand, I think that they should just never touch this character again. They've already done enough damage, so why risk doing more? Maybe the best option would be to just say that she died in the merge. There, problem solved. Never have to worry about this character again. Though on the other hand, like I've said many times at this point, Dragon's Rising has done so much good for the show. It's fixed so many things, and one of the biggest things it fixed was Lloyd. So imagine if they brought Harumi back, and actually fixed her character, fixed her story. It still wouldn't change the fact that she never should have come back in the first place, but it would make things a lot better. And I'll say this, if they end up doing an amazing job with Moro in Season 3, then they should 100% bring her back, and work her into the story somehow, even if for just one episode. And with that, if you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate it if you took 2 seconds to like and subscribe. Bye!